We'll go ahead at this time.
We might wait, we might see it.
We'll go ahead at this time. Are you ready?
You betcha.
Okay, and open up our meeting for January 6, 2015. Everyone could please either silence or turn off their cell phones and join us in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Denise, any additions or deletions?
I have no changes.
Okay.
Orlando did just submit a letter to you
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Thank you. We have our agenda before us, and we have one timed item today. It's at 9 a.m. So we'll start with that with Mary Wilkie, Public Health Director. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. And, the letter was a Happy New Year.
Yeah, they worked very hard to do that, so it was good. Commissioner Ketzner had asked to have a presentation on the results of our triennial review. The state used to come down every 2 years and do a review of all of our programs. And then 6 years ago, they switched it to every 3 years. They send a group of 1 to 2 people per program down. The review can, depending on the program, it'll last from 3 days to, sometimes it only lasts about 4 hours or a half a day. They look at 493 separate items in 16 different programs for what they call compliance issues. You never know what they're gonna look for. The first year I remember going through this, and we have this junk drawer in the hallway, and the reviewer opened it up and found an old cord lead tube. It was outdated, and I got written up for having outdated supplies. So they're very, very thorough, depending on your reviewer and what they're looking at the time. I think reviews are always positive. I don't think anyone is ever going to get 100%, and I would be worried if I got 100% on any review. It certainly is a learning experience. You have before you what each of the compliance issues were. They looked at 16 different programs. Some of those are not funded, but we're reviewed on them anyway. We had 8 programs with no issues. Administration, communicable disease, physical, sexually transmitted infections, tuberculosis, and vital records. We're all in compliance, did very well on that. Civil rights, it's been the same issue every year, and that's a handicap parking spot. We did talk to Mr. Edie, and he did look at a place to put a handicap parking spot, and they were going to just spray in the sign, but that didn't happen. So maybe this spring he will do that, but he was actively looking at that. For our part, we met our compliance because we addressed it with a letter to him and a report to you guys about our civil rights self-assessment. In immunizations, we had one standing order that wasn't signed, that was corrected the next day, and we had some data entry issues from North Lake, and that was also corrected in July. They come in June, so we're correcting, most of our corrections were done by August. We had 2 outstanding ones, WIC, some policies and procedures on WIC, and they are now complete, and environmental health standardization, which just got completed. So everything has been done. Our biggest problem, or biggest compliance issue, I guess, biggest challenge was in WIC. We had a lot of policies and procedures, a lot of training, and that stemmed from the fact that we took more of Jill's time for family follow-up and moved Annie into some WIC, and so there were some modules that needed completion, some policies and procedures that needed to be done. And the girls worked very hard and brought those into compliance. Reproductive health, it was a matter of not client services, but of training. And this is always a challenge to find free training. We do some of our mandatory reporting training with DHS, bloodborne pathogens with the hospital, but now we need training on coercion and speaking to parents, and these are new items. And we did find some, but they aren't the best, so that's always an issue. So I was really happy when Jay told me about, you guys had signed on with Cardera or something, or board training. Did that come about? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The department heads would have acts, maybe it was.
Oh, yeah, I know what
So,
you're talking about. Yeah, we have
to discuss that, and I'll talk to him. So I was really excited when he said that we would have access to some training, free of charge.
yes.
So, that's a good thing. Overall, I think our department had a very positive review.
Well, the closeout, Mary, I'm gonna jump in here with Jan. You know, I did attend and sense from him in his former capacity, he was very impressed in his new capacity with you and the staff and the program and everything that you provide. But I think more importantly, this letter that we received yesterday that was dated December 29th, 2014, at the very end, talks about, you know, the compliance things that needed to be worked on. He said, I'm very pleased to write you this letter thanking you and your staff. Letter was to you for resolving all of the compliance findings. That pretty much says it all.
And when you think that these reviewers go to Multnomah County and they use the same tools, and you have someone in charge of training, or you have someone in charge of just doing data entry, I think my staff does an amazing job with what they do, so.
Well, and I think he was impressed that, you know, some of the discussions, you know, different staff members answered it by book. I mean, they knew what they were talking about. And
right.
the programs inside and out, the crossover.
As what immunizations was very impressed with that, where we have our deputy clerks, they know the routine for immunizations and monitoring the temperatures and if something goes wrong, and
Yeah.
so we have to do that because we're pretty small, so anyway.
Well, and we had received all of us received the initial compliance findings letter back, I think, in July. And you spoke about Commissioner Kestner. He asked me in the meeting in November about, you know, how things were, and I said, well, we all received the letter, but if you'd like, I'll ask Mary to come the first Tuesday in January, and he thought that would be a good time.
I know, that's what I was
He
thinking,
wasn't
he's the
able
one
to
that asked
be-
me to be here, but he can come over and look at, this is what we get back from the state,
Yeah,
and along with that letter, and I did make a copy that Denise has of what our compliance findings were.
I did
And-
ask him yesterday, he had received this.
And, yeah, because one of them, Babies First, we had met our compliance issues earlier, but she forgot to turn it into the liaison. So we reminded her of that, so that got resolved. And then Sarah from WIC did the same, so. We're happy, I mean, this 6 months, it's quite a bit of work, and we did it.
Yes.
Some counties take longer than that, so.
We're very happy. The cover letter says it all right there, Mary, as Commissioner Schoen says. Thank you for the hard work, and thank your employees over there for the hard work.
Yeah, and you'll notice that in one of the letters, I don't know if you got, TPEP was thrilled with the performance of Lily and Beth. This letter also reflected congratulations to Jill for her hard work in WIC, and we do get kudos from a lot of the programs for what we do, so that's good.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Okay, our next item of business is the election of the chair of the Board of Commissioners for 2015 and the vice chair. And at this time, I'm going to nominate Commissioner Brad Winters as the chair for 2015.
You thought Commissioner Kessler here, it's a little awkward, but
It is.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. And it's been moved and seconded to elect Commissioner Brad Winters chair for 2015 as the Board of Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'll move to elect Commissioner Kessler as vice chair for the year 2015.
I will second it. And you are now the chair, so.
The motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item, 2015 Board Liaison Consideration, Board of Commissioners. This item we will have to table until Ken gets back. If we will table that unless you have a different desire. And we will table that whenever all three commissioners are here to consider the liaisons that we do amongst each other.
Yeah.
All right.
He's talked about it before.
Yep, I will acknowledge we received a letter from Orlando Gonzalez with recommendations on liaisons. That is of record. All right, moving on to North Lake ATV Review Committee recommendations. The county went through a hearing process for an ordinance to allow ATVs on county roads. During that process, there is, was it 90 days? 90 days of time before it becomes effective. The effective date would be January 15th. With that, North Lake, a couple of people had some opposition during the public hearing process. We formed a committee of just North Lake people that volunteered to be on a committee. They have put together and made a recommendation for some amendments to roads that could be open or closed. And that is not an amendment to the ordinance, that's an amendment to the roads. So with that, dated December 11th, 2014, with the recommendations. Rick or Dan, do you want to do any other overview at this time?
No, yes, I guess I do, and Rick's got a list here, but we do have this on the agenda for tomorrow for action or consideration. I think, given the broadness of the county and the differences of feelings, I think that it was the right thing to do to allow the community up there to chart its own path, and they've met, as you alluded to, they have done it. And I think I will be tomorrow prepared to honor that. So, Rick, you want to talk anything about the roads?
No, I think the committee was surprised to see how many roads were left on there. I know I talked to a couple.
The only thing,
Go ahead, sir.
Commissioner, that I think we need to remind them of, and our new sheriff will probably get involved in that at some point in time. I didn't get a chance to talk to him about that yesterday, but in their letter, they state somewhere in here, I'll find it. Oh, here it is. All attendees express favor in having the Christmas Valley town site open for ATVs. And we have no oversight on those roads that are non-county roads. So that's something that's going to have to be cleaned up or discussed or clear. We're not approving the town site roads.
Yeah, it's not within our authority to do that. Now then, the question, I talked to Rick some, is the distance of the county road within the town site. That'd be 514. That there's a desire to have that open for a distance for people going from the post office and gas station and other parts. My thought was is wherever the speed sign comes down to 35 miles an hour on both ends of the town, that would be the appropriate open area. Rick, I think you and I had some discussion about that. What do you remember that discussion?
Well, I do, and I mean, did the last letter we get, did it say anything about 514 down through the center?
No.
No.
Is this a discussion that you had with somebody up there?
It was, I've had the discussion with several, I can't think of exactly who, but there's people had a desire to be able to travel on 514 within, from the post office down in different places there, and be able to get over to the park and rec area, golf course, and those things. So it's something.
As you see on here, they left Christmas Tree and North Rainbow. Well, Christmas Tree is right in the heart, going east from the Chevron up to the golf course. So that's gonna take care of bringing a golf course, cart going to the fuel pump, but, those two are left on there, and then every road in the town site roads in Nunn County, I would consider that they could cross 514 at an angle like your state highway or whatever, you know, but did we wanna open up the main road there to run up and down on it? I mean, I wasn't sure there with the committee, cause they didn't really comment on that.
Well, I'm rereading it here, Rick, and that's probably, without them making the recommendations, probably the appropriate thing, because we did ask them to put it together.
Well, and that would be my feeling. I realize there's speed limits there, but quite honestly, I mean, there's several places that you could, we excluded those from being in the ordinance, roads with high use and danger points, but that chunk of road, I think has its own interesting.
The post office, I guess, would be the toughest, because you wouldn't be able to cross to get to the post office.
Well, it says here, all attendees express favor in having the Cribs Valley town site open to ATV use. And we can look at that as all the town site roads, which we have no jurisdiction over, or can look at it as the portion of 514 that goes to the town site. So maybe clarification from the chair on that. And I can't remember if it was Ron or
It's Ron.
who, well, I know that's the chair, but who mentioned that?
Who wanted the road, well, I think Becky Toffel was one of them that,
Could have been Becky.
yeah, who wanted the ATV to drive through the town site. But, see, and I gotta apologize, 'cause I left my letter right on my desk, the last one. But, I see this, one committee, said, Robertson, see, he has a business right on 514 there. However you guys wanna do it.
Well, Commissioner Winters just said it a second ago, it's not one of the recommendations in the original ordinance that we have that's not enforced yet, it's not open. And unless there's more discussion the community wants to have on that specific piece, and we involve you and we involve the sheriff, I don't wanna approve that.
Yeah. And it's the ordinance, the attachment to the ordinance can be amended at any time by the Board of Commissioners, so it's not, if they come back and would like that portion open, then we could consider it at that time.
Yeah.
So I think tomorrow we'll move forward with exactly what the recommendation reflects here.
I agree. Yep.
Now, the roads that you brought before us here, those are roads that are open by the ordinance.
Them are the roads that, with our, you know, we started out with Darrell Gap, 510, Fort Rock, and 514 Chris's Valley Highway, and then they added the 4 or 5 there. And then I just went back on our road list, and this is what I found that wasn't said anywhere, you know, so I put these together. And-
Showing the roads that are open.
Yeah, you know, and, I was surprised at Lost Forest Lane. I mean, they worked so hard to get Fossil Lake off, and they left 3 miles there in the dirt. Forest Lane, it was kind of, I don't think that they realized, I think there's some looking at the roads on their part a little bit. Cause I called a couple members up and I says, is this what, oh, Lost Forest on there? That's, and I don't think they don't have it all together, they never thought it through real well, but we can just take what we got and they can adjust and change as you go.
So Rick, they have on here Milliken Road to be closed and you have it as open. On the letter.
Oh,
Top.
yeah, I see it right here.
Okay. I know that when you and I were talking, the notion that the road from the Christmas Valley Highway all the way to Highway 20 was all called one thing.
Yeah, you see where I messed up there was I was looking at the old trail on Milligan up the highway to the chutes, and there's 2 parts of Milligan. So you got Milligan starting there at,
Well, it's a no maintenance, 2-track road,
yeah,
basically what you're
but
saying is open.
we'll revisit that if that's the case, then maybe they did include that. It's a road that's not, up to standard.
Okay, well, so.
So that 512D could, let me look at that a little closer and have an answer to you on that by tomorrow.
Okay.
Before you.
All right. So, seems to me that good, that tomorrow they'll move forward with their recommendation. All right. Next item, we have Mr. Berman and Tom here. Mr. Kestner brought this forward, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. Come on up, guys.
Morning, Tom.
Morning.
Good. How come you got the hardback chair?
I was
He's
just
got-
thinking the same
I'm
thing.
old.
Huh?
I'm old.
I feel sorry for the old guy, yeah.
Okay, sorry. He said it, I
Before we
understand.
come in, you said you take a good chair.
That's good.
If it's up to me, it'd be in the hard chair with a lot of torture. No laughing today, sir. Okay. Who would like to give the overview on this? I know Ken's not here to give his overview, so I guess he probably designated one of you possibly.
Well, what he done is, we met with the W Pacific on the Connect 5 and the FAA grant dollars, or our annual dollars. Anyway, we had to come up with this DBE program, and so we.
Disadvantaged business.
Yeah, the disadvantage, and we had to revise it, and, well, we really didn't revise it because there wasn't one to begin with to revise, we've never done one before. It does say revised on there, but it's never been done before, so, we had to sit and go through it, being managers have changed and, throughout the airport, so we had to, let the FAA know what the changes that have been made with Lake County. And I'll let Tom take it from there.
Well, basically, the disadvantaged business enterprise is the FAA's or the Department of Transportation's way of ensuring that there's small business that gets, those disadvantaged businesses get a portion of that grant. So if we look back, I think it shows we got $3,062 that we have to show goes to the disadvantaged business. So if we have a small business here that's can help with the striping on the taxiways or the runway or whatever, we need to try to include that in there. And that's really what this is for, is so that we meet their requirement and inject some of that money into a local or a disadvantaged business. In the disadvantaged business, did you ever hear from Sanjay what their final was on? I think it was anything below $1 million per year was considered a small business. So that's where they were setting that goal, so it gives us leeway to You know, as long as they're not a large corporation over, just showing over $1 million a year, then they're actually a disadvantaged business, so we can use them in our contracts or our bid process.
But, you know, just the verbiage, disadvantage, I guess
That is unfortunately typical language.
yeah, it just doesn't flow for me, I guess.
Right.
But I guess, you know, it's what the rules are, especially that different dollars, federal dollars and everything come in.
Right. Well, and I think the big thing was, when I talked to Ken, was WH Pacific recommended that I be put in as the DV liaison. That way, they're communicating with me directly, and it's not going outside, you know, that realm of, you know, responsibility there. So I'd be the airport manager and the liaison with the contact between them and the Department of Transportation. And that's where Ken was talking about, he wanted to bring it before the board to make sure that everybody was clear on that. If I was the one going to be the liaison, that everybody was accepting that, was my understanding. And there's a list, I think it's page 5, there's a list of the responsibilities for the liaison there. And I think the one thing that I had a question on was the plans and participate in the DVE training seminars. And I have not heard anything about that, and I didn't know if anybody here had any information, or if this is a first time thing for all of us.
Well, you know, Tom, I don't wanna jump ahead on that, but something we might wanna have Dave check out is with the local contracting folks with some of our federal agencies, because they are held to the same requirements in different contracts they do, and they may have some localized training that would apply or fit with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we probably should take a look at, and see if that opportunity doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Or they may know of the training you're speaking of.
Yeah, exactly.
That they go to, so.
So we'll try and find that out.
Okay, so this actually lists Commissioner Kestner in there.
Yeah.
Says the liaison.
Is the executive, let me find that, there's a,
Well, the org chart, it shows him as
Chart.
the board of commissioner rep. David Berman is the airport director, and the DVA liaison officer, Tom Andrews.
yeah. Which, like I told Ken, I have no problem with, you know, if that liaison, if it's something that he needs to do, or feels like he needs to do, or whatever, that's fine. I was just, you know, this is their recommendation, and I've got no problem doing it if, you know, if it needs to be
So
done. So,
you're going to have a better grasp of the 49 CFR and all
Right,
that
and that's-
stuff.
Yeah.
And so I don't, I'm very comfortable with you being the
Okay.
liaison to that.
and that's,
So,
that way WH Pacific's not bouncing from one name to another, they go the same guy every time,
Yeah,
you know.
well, and you just, as Commissioner Winters alluded to, you kinda got your thumb on the heartbeat of everything going on and what needs to be thought of and the day-to-day
I would,
connection.
any training and everything, if it's possible for Dave to be at it also,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
because of, I think it's best to have the more knowledge, the better.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Cover the county both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on for action tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay. I see you didn't have legal counsel review it.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday about it.
Okay, it has,
Right, I put that in before
I actually looked at the sheet. So he's reviewed it, had
Yeah,
no
he said it looks
comments?
good, he didn't see any pretty.
There you go, we'll blame it all on legal
There
counsel.
you go.
All right.
That's what we got him for, right?
Anything else?
I think that's it, just making sure that it's pretty important that we do something on this, because if they wanna start in March on the project, we have to make sure that, you know, those bids get sent out here probably by the end of this month. I think it is, the bids are gonna be 26th of this month, actually. So we need to act on doing something there fairly soon, so I can get that stuff done. So,
So, WH Pacific will put together the RFP
Mhm.
for the,
right. They just need that person in contact, you know, for the liaison, so the FAA, which is a branch of Department of Transportation, can say, yeah, we've met those requirements as well.
okay. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, copier replacement recommendation, business office. This is Denise, you're gonna bring this forward. Do we need Jay here for this, or?
No,
I didn't think so.
Nope.
Okay.
the copier lease for the machine down in the business office is due to expire on January 27th. That machine is definitely worn out, we do not wanna purchase it. So this recommendation is for actually, it's a little bit better copier, a little bit faster. It does have color so that Jay doesn't have to send documents to other departments to print them from now on. My only question on this would be, this gets paid out of central service instead of out of business office, and I'm not sure why. I should have asked you that offline, but it's always just come out of central service instead of our department.
And all other copiers go by department.
Correct.
Well, then I would think that we go ahead and possibly do this, and during budget time, have them budget for it to be taken out of their budgets.
Okay,
Yeah, and that
okay.
would
That was
be,
just a little side note. Currently, we pay $178.70 per month for their copy machine. This one is a little bit more expensive at $183.64 per month. Well, and plus the $43.98, so it's a little bit more, but it is more of a copier and it will better fit their needs. That copier downstairs, we've had nothing but trouble with because we're using it at a higher capacity than what it's designed for.
that's where our finance, that's where our budget official and everybody's at. It needs to be the quality to be able to do the work that's needed
Agreed.
down there.
Agreed, so.
Yep, we'll bring that forward tomorrow. Any other questions?
No.
All right. Department updates. Mr. D'Amelio, we haven't seen you in a long time. You want to give any updates? Put you on the spot here.
I'm really prepared. The weather's been great.
Rick, maybe before you do that, if you don't mind, Commissioner. Orlando, it looks like you're getting ready to leave.
Yeah,
Could I ask you to do me a favor?
yeah,
I kind of read this letter and I
Right.
see in here several we's are
Right.
asking, but I only see your signature.
right.
Is it possible to get a list from you sometime, not right now, but sometime on who the we are?
Yeah, I can get
Thank you.
pictures of this. Plus, you know, 100 in regards to support for Mike Taylor, the new sheriff. Was 100, there were 1,700 people that voted for that man. So it's gonna be hard to get
I just
1,700 signatures.
want a list of the people that you're referring to in here that
Yeah,
say
we
we.
should list,
Thank you.
yeah. But it's something that a lot of us feel important, important for the county to consider.
I think Sheriff Taylor's gonna be a really good sheriff.
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, the weather's been good, so we haven't been grinding the roads as far as snow plowing. In fact, today they're pruning trees back in the middle of January, if you can believe that.
We're not going to complain that there's not a lot of overtime being out there. We need the snow, though. We need the snow, but if you're able to trim some
Yeah, we
trees, that's
sure
a
do.
positive also. I mean, some of that deferred work it's nice to get caught up on some of that too.
We need to have a lot of snow in the mountains, I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But as far as projects, we've got, if the weather holds, we can really hop in there and get some done, you know. I mean, if it wants to have high pressure and decent weather, I'm for going out and grinding the water users real good myself. I mean, right now, them are things that can happen if it's gonna be this kind of winter.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of shouldering, as you can see out there.
Yes, appreciate it very
Yeah,
much.
we gotta move some rock around, and the federal highway, we're really dealing with the documents now. probably have to, won't get into it too much till we kind of get it settled down, get our finger on it. It doesn't look like there's gonna be a lot done in 15. Looking at the schedules, a lot of engineering and NEPA, which NEPA was supposed to have been done last summer, but didn't get done. So the NEPA environmental part. Was you on that conference call with me on the last time I talked to him?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, the environmentalist lady said, you guys need to put on your brakes. I haven't even started. So anyway, that's gonna be a big issue this summer, is making sure all the NEPA environmental work is done. And this fall, we can't put the pipes in at this time. That's scheduled if there's no hang up for us in NEPA. And then the road work would go down in 2016 for us dirt road. So right now it'd be great if we could get them at least cut Hart Mountain loose, and was able to do that this summer, you know. Because there's gonna be a window of time this summer to do it, and they're not all gonna be piled up on the same summer. But, they claim there's gonna be a little NEPA on it, but they can't be a lot on it. It's supposed to be, some of that's supposed to be waived,
It can't be an
because it's
awful lot.
just the preservation, you know.
Well, Rick, on these federal highway projects, it's a reimbursement grant. Are we gonna need to, through our budget process, do anything different so that we're able to, you know, it's going to take a couple of years to get through this process, so it might be a budgeting challenge to
It is.
reimbursement.
And that's why we really have to start figuring what's gonna happen in what year. And if, the worst scenario is if just budget for it and it just carries over if you don't do it, you know. But you don't get it in, I mean, to the point that you have to do a supplement budget, but, I have some slips there I gave you guys as you walked in there on that date, and, the main thing is it doesn't even show a payment from federal highway to us till in 16, although the pipes and stuff was supposed to come out of federal highway, side of the budget, so, you know, there's just a lot to, you know, right now as it stands, they just cleared 233,000 strictly for engineering, nothing else. Nothing can be drawn or invoiced without another reimbursement contract. And every time you do a part of it, you have to do a reimbursement contract to that piece of it. It's not just open the gate and here we go. And we knew that. I mean, it's gonna be a challenge. I mean, it's nothing easy about it. If you don't have money, what else are you gonna do?
Well, Rick, going back to what both you and Commissioner Runners were talking about, why couldn't we, I mean, maybe it'll come into clearer view before the budget this year, but why wouldn't we just kind of set a certain amount over there, and then if it happens in that given year, fine, if it doesn't, it rolls into the next year till the project's done and all the reimbursements are made.
That's the thing, you know, that we're so lucky to have some reserves to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to
Yeah.
Yeah.
look at that.
Make sure what's gonna happen this year. Something could, I mean, the NEPA could go so quick in June, and you know, they might go, well, let's do the grinding and the earthwork right now. But it's not gonna be really that tough, on the Dog Lake, because a lot of that, the grinding will be paid out of federal highway, but the labor is our match, so, I mean, that part of the puzzle's already have to be in there anyway. The thing would be the Hart Mountain or the chip seal there crushing, all of a sudden they say go, and, that money that we know the overlay out there is not gonna be covered only by 60% or something on that project, you know, and having time to do it, and looking at their, contracts, like just putting out a rock contract, you're looking at, on their schedule, like 2 months. I mean, to put it out, to get it in, to award it, it's gonna be a real slow process and everything to do. And then the pets you use, you know, they'll have to come and be environmentally passed, you know, for the first NEPA thing too. So anyway, right now, at least we're getting a lot of paperwork, and between it and the transportation plan, it's nothing to be bored about. There's always something coming in, about 42 pages to read and have back in 2 days or something. So that's where we're at right now. And it really kind of puts you in a bad spot, because when you're ready to go and you got your shovel out there to break ground, that's when you need the people. Hiring people right now to set the 2016 is not gonna do us no good, you know. So, I mean, trying to figure it all out to go in, it can be done, it's not a big deal. Just gonna have to have a lot of forethought.
Did you hear that? It's not a big deal, so.
Well, I don't. Strike that from the record. Strike that from the record.
You're on camera, Rick, you already recorded it.
Is that your best view for the camera?
Yeah, a little more turn.
You might
My
want to try
back.
and look at the camera.
More turn, probably my best posture, yeah. My back.
Are you done?
What else, you doing some more?
No.
No.
Ginger, did you have any updates you wanted to give us?
Oh, gosh, I'm still doing a lot of discovery, a lot of talking to folks, and a lot of reading. I have gotten out, and talked to several businesses. I spent some time yesterday afternoon with the Shanes out at, Andy's greenhouses to see what they're doing. It looks really good, it's very exciting, and they're very excited, very motivated.
What is gonna be their main product?
They are vegetables,
Vegetables?
they have leased the 2 center bays. They're at Andy's greenhouse, and they have, reestablished the beds, you know, rebuilt them, and Andy's gonna continue to use the 2 outside bays to raise flowers and to do what he likes to do, but they're gonna be developing produce. They're experimenting with corn, they've got some corn growing, they've got radishes and lettuce and some squash going, that are in baby stages, you know, but will soon be ready, so, yeah, that's well on its way, that's a good thing. And I am going to go spend about 3 or 4 days up north next week and meet with folks, talk with folks. I'm gonna talk to some ranchers, find out what's going on there, some grass growers, alfalfa. I'm just filling up my brain, basically, finding out what's happening. Talking to some of the local businesses in the Christmas Valley, Silver Lake area. You know, see what the challenges are and find out, you know, how that's all going. I have done some federal grant investigation on a couple of issues around broadband, and an initiative, an Obama initiative called the Promise, what is it, Promise Sector or something, Promise Areas, Promise Directive, whatever. Anyway, just to see how it fits, and if there are some things here that those grants would fit. There's not a good reason to write a grant unless it's gonna get you where you wanna go. So I've been sort of investigating that. The broadband, Commissioner Kestner has been involved with, so I've been looking at that. Also some discussions with Main Street. I don't know if you folks are familiar with Main Street, but it's actually a national organization, and in Oregon, the state of Oregon supports the program by housing it in Parks and Recreation, Oregon Parks and Recreation. It's a program for downtown revitalization, and I have done some work with them in the past, and I've had some conversations with them. They have been in Lakeview and in the north end of the county before, and some years back. But recently worked with them and with some things with some planning with some small communities in Klamath County. And anyway, I've been talking with them, and I'll be having some conversations with Ray about that this week, actually.
We probably need to include the city of Paisley too in that, Ginger, in those discussions.
That's a good idea, that's.
Well, and another real quick item, Ann Crumrine, our treasurer, sits on that state board with Park and Rec, and I don't know what the crossover there is.
With the Main Street?
On the Park and Rec
On the
board.
Parks and Rec.
So she may have
I
some
don't know, but I will
background in
check
that.
in with her, that's good to know. And when I go, I'm glad you said that, when I go north next week, I have Sherry, I can't think of her last name, who's the director of Main Street in Salem, sent me 4 copies of their handbook that explains their programs and everything, and so I will make sure I connect with somebody in Paisley and get them that information.
Yeah, probably Emma Villagrana, she's the city
Okay.
clerk, and they're just changing over the mayor. The former mayor did not run, so they're gonna have, as of tonight, I believe, a new mayor. It won't be as up to
Right.
date, but Emma would be a good point of contact there at City
Okay.
Hall.
Yeah.
And, hang on there a minute, Jimmy. The broadband discussion,
Mhm.
Commissioner Winters, I know I sat in on one meeting, I don't know if you were on at that time, I don't think you were.
No,
In Paisley, our discussion, yours and mine yesterday at cross purposes, or collectively different entities working on the same thing but not talking to each other. There's some major work that's been going on with the Regional Solutions Group that,
Right.
We're part
And-
of here, that's different than the broadband group that Commissioner Kessner goes to over at AOC that meets once a month for an hour. They're primary broadband providers.
right,
Plus, Congressman Walden chairs that committee nationally, so when we talk about the president's initiative in the new budget for this year, that was discussed, the outreach to these underserved communities for broadband. So just wanted to throw that out
right,
there.
and I was at that meeting, and I've, Susanna in the governor's office has been feeding a lot of the information around this one particular grant and having, some conversations back and forth about, does this really fit? And I'm sure that there's gonna be more conversation with the 3 of you about how, if this is appropriate. The grant deadline is February 17th, so it really, the conversations need to happen soon. And I've been able to be somewhat helpful in a couple of instances with some, with Oregon Community Foundation's new arts program grant process to help distribute the information and sort of talk a little bit about, well, what does this mean, translating it, and was able to work with Ann Crumrine, who is involved with the arts community in Lake County, and get it distributed to those that could be interested. And also, the city of Paisley is looking at a Parks and Rec grant to help with some of upgrading and some things that they need to do, the basketball court, the community center, and that sort of thing.
Right.
So those are the kinds of things I've been doing.
Well, I know you've been busy, and I'm just gonna throw this out there for food for thought, and I'm sure you've been thinking about this because of all the discussions about potential future businesses. But as
Right.
you outreach to the business community here, Central County, North County, hopefully, we don't know what's gonna happen with potential developers, whether it be Red Rock
Right.
Biofuel, Alamos Gold. But as we've said on many occasions, we want to be as prepared as possible in our existing businesses and the expansion of those, as well as any new business opportunities. Everyone talks about grocery stores. If that starts to roll, there's going to be a lot of need. And I think it'd be a great service for us to be able to help in any way if anybody wants to ramp up. If, you know, they're not gonna do it on the off chance that it's gonna happen. If it starts to happen, I think there's gonna be a lot of demand, you know, for being able to increase their services, and we might be able to help with that, so.
Right, well, to that end, we had a conversation about getting information in one place. You know, different kinds of things, demographic information, you know, what's available, services-wise, all sorts of things, properties that are available, and I have started looking at that process. Betty Riley is gonna be here the end of this week, and she has already, at one point, had started some of that, and we're gonna, and you and I had talked about that, so I think that, we're really prepared to begin putting that together. We just need to, or I need to understand, more specifically, you know, what we feel is important to put into that package, so I'll look forward to having that conversation.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Denise, did you have anything that you, other than?
Tomorrow we're gonna do a IT plan follow-up meeting, 11:30-ish, depending on how long our meeting goes tomorrow, since Mr. Bailey's there, so that's all.
I'm planning on setting.
I have no liaison updates, how about you?
No, other than, as I said last week, I will be headed to Boise on Sunday, and I'll be back sometime Wednesday. So,
Where are you gonna watch the Ducks game from?
Noreen was telling me, she was highly disappointed. She said, can you put your phone on silent and I'll just keep texting you with what's going on? I hope to be able to see
What
it.
time is it?
I don't know, Rick. Sometime
About 5:30 on Monday.
Yeah, we've got so much to get done Monday and Tuesday that
Oh.
I'm sure that we'll get to watch the game.
Here's what I was talking about in that Milligan, you got two pieces of it, so you guys might wanna just, you wanna just leave all the Milligan off then, is that what you want to do?
No, but we need to clarify what they were talking about when they said they wanted Milligan left off.
How are we gonna do that?
We'll just ask them.
So you want me to call the group and then between now and?
Just call the chair.
Yeah, please, if you would, please. You want that back?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oops. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go over here. Keep me from getting out. Okay.
8 minutes to 10, we will adjourn.